Well, we come to the end of our Holy Week at home. So now what? Now what? This is the perfect question for Holy Saturday. It is a day for sitting in the unknown. But now what? In the in-between time, it is hard to keep the faith. You know, when governments around the country and around the world started calling on people to stay at home, I think among some of us, there was this feeling it might be a little bit like a snow day, a welcome reprieve from the busy schedules to catch up on things, spend some much needed time at home. Or, for others of us, it was an emergency. There was plenty of adrenaline to kick everyone into high gear for action. So on the first week off from school, teachers and students were diligently and intensely putting all the energy they had into reimagining lessons and curriculums and how to keep in touch. That is also when the toilet paper hoarding and the massive store lines started appearing. We had to stock up our houses for the coming storm. Here in Portage, I don't know about you, but I was remembering Thanksgiving when the snowstorm shut down our entire community for a whole weekend. And Thanksgiving was canceled. And hydro crews worked really hard, and generators were located, and fireplaces were stoked, and turkeys were cooked on barbecues, and neighbors helped neighbors, and many of us got back and up and running just after a few days. In the rural areas, it took longer, but all things considered, there was this storm to weather. We weathered it, and then life continued pretty much as it had before. So, we know how to hunker down at home for a brief time. And when you know the end is in sight, you can invest all kinds of energy in managing because it's a short-term situation. Indeed, we Manitobans initially set all kinds of dates. School will be out for 3 weeks, and we'll cancel worship until Palm Sunday, but then we'll have Easter whenever we can be back in church. And life at home wasn't usual, but that's okay. We can do anything for a little while. Only now it's becoming clearer that we don't actually have an end date on these things. We don't know what's changing for a short time or what's changing for a long time and what has changed forever. I don't know if we're prepared to continue to live in our homes the way we have been for the long haul. This very odd setup that I have for recording, sitting currently on my dining room table, is not meant to be a permanent fixture. That's not what the dining room table is for. So if we knew how long, that would help. Because waiting is the hard part. I've heard some people expressing fears about how long our patience can or will last. And what happens if we do run out of patience for this? What happens when we're so saturated by the daily briefings we can't even pay attention to the directions we're given anymore? Will we stop doing what we're told because we just can't hear it anymore? The waiting is the hard part. But waiting is what we have to do. As we come to the end of this Holy Week at home, we don't know what's next. We don't. All we have is the invitation to trust that it will be okay. That it is okay. Angie's saying, uncertainty is always difficult. Often we learn the most during those times. Exactly. So then our goal is to be at home in our homes. So at the end of this week, I'm wondering what home means to you. Some of you may know Lorne Jordan. He told me yesterday his definition. He said, home is the place that when you show up, they have to let you in. I didn't really warm to that definition at first. It doesn't sound particularly friendly. They have to let you in? Well, unless have to doesn't necessarily mean something negative. I confess, I take comfort from the fact that as a Canadian citizen, if I'm out of the country and I'm in trouble and I show up at the border, I have to be let in. They can't turn me away. Not that people would want to, I hope, but the assurance is, no matter what I might have done or not done, I get in. And I think there is something comforting right now when it feels like the ground is so unstable beneath our feet. We need places where we are accepted regardless. That no screw-ups we might make, no disasters the world might throw at us, could keep us from having a place that's home. So what makes home for you? I wonder with whom, in whom, you find that sense of belonging that can sustain you through the waiting times. In the Bible, that place is the household of God. That's where the ancient peoples found their sense of home, regardless of what was happening around them. And if you're familiar with the 23rd Psalm, you might remember the last line, "And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long." And being at home with God didn't mean that life was all lollipops and roses. Remember in the Psalm, you walk through the darkest valley, the shadow of death. There's this table in the presence of my enemies. But there is also restoration, and there is safety, and there is wholeness. So Mary Weir wrote a poetic reflection on the 23rd Psalm I want to share with you. It says this: "Walking in the dark, I see no light. I hear no voice. No guide is there to show the clear way. No certainty to remove the risk. Dark is real and fearful, and it is all around. Death I cannot deny, as I die daily, leaving parts of myself behind, letting go again and again. Yet I walk, one foot ahead of the other, quietly knowing your presence beyond fear of harm, though nothing more. As the child whom I am no longer, I play calmly, surrounded by dangers, surrounded even more by a love which I cannot understand, but only trust. Walking in the dark, your hand only is there to hold. That is enough." Well, as we come to the end of this Holy Week, I hope you have a source of whatever is enough for you. I hope you have a source of safety, of restoration, and of wholeness among all the valleys of the shadow. At the end of this Holy Week, may you find yourself at home. Thanks for watching.